Well, today we're putting kayak racks on the top of the Runaway. And if any of y'all have ordered these, or tried to order these, you'll find a big problem. No matter what price you buy these at, you can't ever seem to find one that'll go on the round cross bar like you have on the Runaway camper. And I'm going to explain to you a few things about that, and it actually can be done. It just has a few things you got to watch out for. So this one here is a cheap $29 Amazon rack. You can get the fancy ones that fold up and down, or aluminum. You can get all the different types, but I decided to try the $29 ones just in case it didn't work, and it looks like it's gonna work. So let me explain to you a few things about how I did this. So looking at this is the main reason why no one recommends their particular kayak setup for the round type bar. And the reason why that is if you don't get this tight enough, it will rotate around that round bar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make them good and tight. But another way you can fix that is, the good thing I was worried about when I ordered this cheap one was if these were long enough, the screws, and they're plenty long enough. They go all the way around, no problem. You really have to torque them down, and you gotta be careful because these are cheap and they can break. So you just get them good and tight. But what you can do, if you're really worried about this bar revolving around here, is you could drill a small hole in the bottom of this and put a little screw in there in the bottom, and drill a hole into the bottom of your crossbar, and then that will keep it from rotating. And if that doesn't work for you, you could use this top plate the same way. You could probably put a little nut inside this top plate, drill a hole. Of course, I don't like drilling this, but if that's what you want to keep this from revolving, it's really not a bad problem. This just has the two straps that tight over top the kayak, and it definitely will have one. It'll have one out the front and out the back to hold it down, going from back and forth. And that's where your problem is that these are so close together that you only have these two attach points, and they're worried it's going to swing back and forth. So we're going to experiment with this and take it on a little trip, about 2-hour drive for my house. Don't think we're going to have an issue with it. If we do, then we'll come back and we'll actually drill this, and we'll put some kind of anchor to where it won't revolve around this round tubing. So for now, I'm just going to put this in place. You may ask yourself, why am I putting it way over here on this side? The reason for that is, if you've seen in my other videos, I've got a solar panel that mounts over here on this side. So I could put it, if you weren't having that solar panel, it'd probably be best to mount it over on that side, and even if you had two. But in my case, I'm putting it over here on this side. Yeah, I got to go over top of the awning, and if I have my awning up, it's probably going to be a pain, but I think that's not too bad of a deal. Like I say, you just get up and detach it, and I'm going to slide mine from the back side, bringing it up through the back side. And then of course you have to do your attachments, which if you had your awning up would be close to impossible. So I don't use the awning that much, so I'm putting it on this side. But again, if you use your awning a lot and you don't have anything on this side, it's probably best to put it on your driver's side. So we'll get to it. Now this does come with these hex nuts that can be used on here. I just don't like that plastic. I'd rather have the good bolted on it with that bolt. I'm going to put these hex screws on here just to basically cover it up here, where it won't scratch anything, just in case it does move forward or back. But you're going to mainly do most of your torquing with those two screws there. What you want to do is you want to tighten this bolt up here, and you want to keep this even from side to side. You don't want to over torque on one side way up and then have this one way down on this side. So you want to have equal distances on each side of that. So I'm going to tighten it up a little bit on this side, we'll work the other side. You have to keep on going back and forth and back and forth. It gets to a point where your ratchet won't work anymore, so you have to use a boxed in wrench. I have this nice box end wrench here that actually lets you have a little bit of a ratcheting feature. By going back, you'll see it kind of ratchets back in place. Again, I've been tightening this thing up, and you'll see it still moves back and forth, and you really want to tighten that down where you don't get any movement at all there. Another thing that's critical, if you're going to put racks up here on top of here, you need some kind of easy get up. You need some kind of ladder, and I bought this at Lowe's. I think it was $59, but I recommend the 3 steps. It gives you a lot. This gives you something to rest on, and it gives you plenty of reach up on there. And it comes in handy just if you want to scrub the back top of your Runaway. But like I say, this thing's relatively light. It's aluminum. It's rated for 250 pounds or less, but it's really light, and it's really going to come in handy. I'm going to carry this with me whenever I go with the kayak, and that'll allow me to get up on top there with no problems. I'm going to tighten this a little bit more. And these little nuts right here are designed to actually hold your boat up in there. And as usual, I bought this cheap rack, and this one here is already, looks like it's stripped out, but mainly is that this piece here is holding, so I'm just going to use that as a piece to keep from having that dig into the roof. So, got my 10-foot kayak up there. It's a son of a gun to get up there. I don't know. Now I know why I haven't been putting my kayak up on a rack for a long time. And when I did put this up on here, it kind of rolled one of these racks over, so I had to straighten it back out again. So again, this is not the ideal situation. You want to definitely be able to drill a hole and do something with it in the future. But another thing I want you to show you is these tie straps that came with it. They're not long enough to go over my big kayak and back around. They need to be, these look like they're about 8-footers. They probably need to be 12-footers or longer. So I had to end up buying, well, I actually had some of these cinch straps here, so I used these straps instead. And I got those at Harbor Freight, and I used those for the over the top, and just used this one down at the end, and then another cinch one down here at the front. So we'll hope that's going to make it, and we'll see. I'll let you know. So that's about all I have for this video. I just wanted to show you, you can put J-hooks on there even if they're not rated for that round bar. Like I say, you just have to be aware that they can roll front or back, and until you put some kind of screw hole in those. We're going to see how well this does without having to do that. But got it set up ready to head down the road to our drive tomorrow. This configuration did work for me, but I did have to tighten my straps several times throughout the trip. I've decided at the end that I'm just not going to do this anymore. It's something that you have to do it, then it can be done, but I'm just going to throw my kayak in the back of my truck. You can see this bed is 5 foot long. It hangs out at a strange angle, but that's the way I'm going to do it from now on. But it can be done. I recommend, if you do it, to have that drill hole, and that way that won't revolve on you. So that's about all I have, and hope this helps you out if this is what you need. And if anybody wants a $29 rack, cheap, I've got one.